For anyone working in network security, the idea of managing dozens, maybe even hundreds of firewalls one by one, sounds like an absolute nightmare. It's like trying to conduct an orchestra where you have to run to each musician individually to give them their sheet music.
That's a perfect analogy, and that's exactly the problem that something like Fortinet's FortiManager is designed to solve.
So, let's dive into that. Fortinet's FortiManager 7.6. I understand it's this centralized platform for managing all those FortiGate firewalls, which is a huge deal for SOC analysts and network admins. We're talking about provisioning devices with templates, handling different customers with something called ADOMs, and deploying policy packages, right?
Exactly. And it goes even further. By centralizing all the firmware updates, the configurations, it can even act as a local FortiGuard distribution server. For organizations that are heavily invested in the Fortinet ecosystem, this dramatically boosts efficiency and, more importantly, reduces network downtime.
Okay, so for that poor network administrator dealing with tons of FortiGate devices, you said it's a nightmare. How does FortiManager specifically tackle this complexity and make their life easier?
Well, the key is its ability to act as a single pane of glass. Instead of logging into dozens of individual firewalls to make one small change, you can push out standardized templates from one console. You manage policies across all of them at once, and you can even diagnose issues from that central hub. This drastically reduces the risk of misconfiguration and saves an immense amount of time.
That makes perfect sense. Centralized control is clearly the game changer here. So, for those looking to gain these skills, who exactly is this FortiManager 7.6 administrator training designed for, and is the certification truly worth pursuing?
For those considering the FortiManager 7.6 administrator certification, the consensus is that it's definitely worth it, especially if your job already involves Fortinet tools. Employers recognize that certified administrators are the ones who can effectively handle this kind of centralized device management, set efficient policies, and reduce that network downtime we talked about.
I see. So having that official validation really sets you apart.
Absolutely. It's particularly valuable for companies managing FortiGate devices at scale, because that certification directly translates to real-world, hands-on expertise. It's not just theory.
And speaking of expertise, does this certification directly translate to better earning potential? Let's talk about the salary expectations for roles requiring these Fortinet administration skills.
It certainly does. We're seeing U.S. salaries for roles like network security engineer or firewall administrator typically fall in the 80 to 110 range. And of course, for senior positions, that compensation can go even higher.
Interesting. But for individuals maybe approaching Fortinet administration from a different hardware background, the ecosystem can seem pretty complex. FortiManager, in particular, sounds like it has a steep learning curve since it manages so many devices and policies.
That's right. And without a structured course, it can be overwhelming. This training really simplifies that process. It guides you from the very first step of connecting and grouping devices all the way to applying shared policies and scaling up your operations. It's critical for roles where you're managing dozens of FortiGate devices efficiently.
It sounds like this training not only demystifies the complexity, but also directly opens doors to highly sought-after positions in network security. So, what are the specific job titles and environments where this FortiManager expertise is most valuable?
You're typically looking at roles like network security administrator, SOC analyst, a dedicated firewall engineer, or an IT security specialist. And it's especially critical in any environment where managing dozens of FortiGate devices manually just isn't realistic. When you boil it all down, the takeaways are pretty clear. FortiManager provides that essential centralized management for multiple firewalls. The FCP certification proves you can handle it, which enhances your career prospects and opens doors to those roles earning between 80 and 110. And most importantly, the training makes that whole complex system feel simple, preparing you for jobs where manual management is just impossible.